Good morning, everybody. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through my last week of training for my Ironman race, which will take place in July 2024. So I had this idea that as I'm going along with my training, it would be most beneficial to anyone watching if I, at the end of each week of training, walked everyone through what I did for each day and any kind of training insight that I learned or attained during the week. So we're going to start it out by sharing the training insight of the week, and then we'll get into what we did each day for training. And then I have a bit of a story that I want to share at the end that hopefully will let this training insight sink in a little bit deeper so that you can apply it to your training. So the training insight of this week, and don't mind if I look at my notes, the insight is you can almost always do more than you think you can. And it might sound obvious, but even with that mentality, sometimes it takes someone on the outside to really show you that you can do more than you think you can do. And again, I'll share the story for that at the end. But first, we'll dig into this week of training. So there's no confusion for anybody watching. The way I'm going to break up my training is going to be Monday is going to be day one of the week, and Sunday will be the last day of the week. So without further ado, we'll start with Monday. Last Monday was a 40-minute run and a strength training circuit that was designed for me by my coaches. And, maybe if you're interested, I could share that in another video series. Tuesday was a 1-hour bike ride. Wednesday was a 50-minute run. Thursday was a 1-hour bike ride followed by the same strength training circuit that I did on Monday. Friday was my rest day. So in this training, there's only going to be one rest day per week, and that's from what I can see for all weeks moving forward too. So even though fatigue is starting to build now, it's just one rest day, and that's going to force the body to acclimate and grow along with the training. So not allowing for too much rest so that the body is really stimulated by this change to grow. Saturday was a run test, and the run test included a 10-minute warm-up, a 5-minute ramp-up, and then the actual test part here, the part that my coaches were actually concerned about, was a 2-mile run at maximum effort. So the maximum effort that you can sustain while running 2 miles, and then followed by a 5-minute cool down. So all in all, this run test took about 38 minutes or so. And then Sunday, which was yesterday, was a 1-hour and 15-minute ride. So a little bit more on the run test, and this is how it relates to the inside of the week. I did very well for myself on the run test, and just a quick interjection in there. Whenever you're judging your data, make sure you personalize it and judge it according to your best effort. Don't judge it according to the effort of any influencers that you might see online, because a lot of them have been running for a long time or riding for a long time, and it's just unfair to you to judge your progress based on how they're performing. So some of you, or a lot of you, might look at my run test data and say, oh wow, that's like much slower than I thought it would be, while I, knowing myself and knowing like the injuries that I had to overcome over the past year or so, and how long it's been since I've run this fast, I know, and I'm proud of my run test, even though it might be slow for others. So just keep that in mind. I will share my data on the run test. So the 2 mile max, I had an average of an 8 minute and 45 second pace. And, I was really proud of this because I hadn't run that fast in a few years, and mostly because of like a really bad knee injury that I got. And while trying to rehab from the knee injury, your body finds different ways to run, let's say, and some of them might not be the best ways to run, and that set off a chain reaction of other overuse injuries in different parts of my body that basically made it almost impossible for me to run any faster than that without injuring myself. So going into the run test, I was kind of nervous that I was going to injure myself, but I didn't injure myself, and I performed very well, and I was very happy with the results. Now, how this relates to the insight. So what the whole purpose of the run test, aside from getting your max speed over a 2 mile period, is to determine what a level 5 effort is for this next phase of training. So this next phase of training I'll call the training before my next run test. So from now to my next run test. So my coaches use the data from this run test to determine what zones I'll be training in different days of the week for my runs. So today's Monday, which starts the next week, week 3 of Ironman training, they had me down for a maintenance run. And the maintenance run is basically a zone 1, zone 2 effort getting into the warm-up, zone 2 effort for the bulk of the running. So we'll say warm-up, run, cool down, just to make it simpler. So for the run portion, they're saying zone 2, and they're putting my zone 2 at a 10-minute per mile pace based on my data from the run test. Now, I had a conversation with my coach about this because I was curious. As I mentioned, I've been running a lot slower because I've been nervous about and rehabbing my knee injury. And I basically phrased it like this. And if you don't know already, because this channel's kind of new, you'll find out soon enough that I tend to insert just a very little bit of humor into pretty much everything, even semi-serious discussions. But I told my coach, I said, I'm not sure if you've seen like my other runs from this past few weeks, but this 10-minute per mile pace is definitely not my zone 1, zone 2 range. And he said, I mean, based on your run test, we think you're much more capable than the effort that you've been putting out prior to the run test. And I said, you know what, like, I'm going to trust you guys. This is what you do for a living, and you have a lot more experience in the field, so I'm going to trust you that, that's what this data means. But it made me think that even as somebody who's completed an Ironman and who regularly seeks growth, that even I, and I'm not saying even I, that I've perfected the way things are in my life, but even I, at this point in training and having done what I sought out to do at least once, am limiting myself mentally, holding myself back speed-wise in my training. And that's where this insight comes from, the big insight. You can almost always do more than you think you can. And I have my coach to thank for that, and I have the effort that I put out on my run test to thank for that. Without putting out such a good effort on my run test, I probably wouldn't have gotten this feedback from my coach. Like if I slacked off on the run test because mentally I thought that if I go too fast, I'm going to hurt myself. And if I thought I knew better than my coaches, where they said maximum effort, so anything other than maximum effort would have thrown my data off and ultimately stunted my growth in this training. So sometimes it takes a little bit of swallowing your ego and then also deferring to those with more experience and a more detached perspective from yours to really get the most out of your life and to really get a good pin on where you are at this point in your training, in your goal, whatever. So I'm listing that as my insight of the week, and that's what's helping me right now, and it is a lesson that I'm going to try to apply to not only this training, but my work and my business, and pretty much anything that I really have to take a deep look at what I'm doing and whether or not I think I'm holding myself back for any mental reason. So that is this week's video. Now I plan on doing this weekly. I think it'll be a massive benefit to anyone who's interested in running their first Ironman race or just wanting to see what a coached perspective looks like, because I've done the Ironman uncoached, so completely self-trained, self-programmed, got most of my information from online, YouTube, various other sources, but I've never been coached before, so this will be my first coached season, and I know that because of money, it's out of the reach of a lot of people. So if you want to follow along and see what a real coached season of Ironman training looks like, then I hope you join along. And if you have any questions, I'm the type to ask a lot of questions to my coaches and maybe dive into more principles more deeply. Just ask the question in the comments, like, follow, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks.